Hello, any human there? Can you all hear me well? Nice. The humans can hear me. Is the music for the voice? Is the music loud for the voice? Let's see who do we have here. I see 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬. I see 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬. Lilium is here. They are a long-time viewer. CSP is here, shameless too. I see 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻. Not sure I met you before. And of course Dam and Hulk are here. And Jay is here, of course, so nice to see you around. How are you all doing? Did the week treated you all well so far? Thanks, Jester. Thank you all for the birthdays and the nice words. Hey, Roos. Good to see you too. Rose. I have a few things planned for today. We will see a couple of stuff I pre-made, then there is a Q&A. And then we gonna play some Minecraft. I want to build the warped farm during the stream. Rose is a YouTube member. That's why she has a star. It would be cool if I could integrate coffee to YouTube, so the coffee members get badges too. Hey, hello Crimson. Good to see you. I don't think it's possible, sadly. But it would be nice if it was. I had a little ad for you all before we get into the Q&A. I did spend all my budget on it. High production value. Today's sponsor is none other than all of you. And how can you sponsor the stream, I hear you asking? Well, why not check out my Ko-fi page? You can subscribe and become a part of my Fangies community, or even send a one-time donation. All of the support will show up on stream, and you can even leave a message for me to read out loud. There is also the Throne page, where you can buy anything you want from my wish list, or you can even send me your own gift suggestions. And if you aren't sure about what to get from the list, I have also ordered it from left to right. From the things I need or want the most at the very left of the list, like these RAM modules for my computer so I can reliably use After Effects without my computer dying, all the way to these cute mangas that I fancy having but are less of a priority. But regardless of priority, all of the gifts will be highly appreciated, and they will also show up on stream for the others to see. Although any message sent with the gift won't show up on stream, sadly. So if you happen to write something, let me know in the message if you want me to read it out loud. A few gifts also happened during the week and they couldn't get the fancy notification on stream, so we're still going to call them out. I have a really nice jacket sent by an anonymous person. A really warm and comfy jacket too. I was using it yesterday when I had to go out. The same generous human also sent a conditioner for the hair and a facial lotion that I was in real need for, so many thanks for that. Thanks a lot for these nice gifts. I will use them a lot. I also received a truly adorable bat plushie and a lovely skirt that I wanted so badly. Those gifts are from Jay. Thanks a lot for those gifts too. Sadly, I haven't received them yet, but I will be sure to make a coffee post with pictures once all these and any new gifts arrive, of course. But that's about it for this amazing segment sponsored by you. Alrighty then, it's now time for the Q&A. I have a few questions written down already, so we will go over those first. But while we go through them, everyone is welcome to add more questions here or in the Q&A chat on Discord. And even those that have already been answered, in case you want more clarification for a certain question. I will read through them in a moment. So, to start up, we have a couple questions from 𝐋𝐲𝐬𝐬. He asks, I primarily know you from Minecraft Create, but I know you have played Factorio based on older intro screens to your videos. What other games do you like playing, or are excited about? I used to be big into Factorio, the 𝐴𝑁O games, and other stuff that is mainly focused on resource management and so on. But lately, I find myself preferring games like Stardew Valley, Sunhaven, Tiny Glade. Cozy games that don't require a lot of mechanical skills or to focus on them a whole lot. Games that I can play casually without much commitment. You changed your voice a few months ago. How does it feel? Is anything nostalgic about the older voice? Well, not particularly nostalgic, since I don't have an attachment to any of the voices I used. I guess I liked the previous voice more because it felt it fitted me a bit better. But in terms of quality, this new one is miles better. And it also makes more sense for YouTube videos. It sounds a lot more energetic, and I do like that. If the voice was to fit me perfectly, I would just sound half sad, half asleep all the time, which I guess could be funny in itself. And the last question from 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬 is, why bats? Because bats are the best, aren't they? But to give a better answer, I just think they're cool. They're these flying creatures without really being birds or having feathers or anything. They are still mammals, and they can still use their wings to hold stuff or even walk on four legs, which I find so funny. I also tend to like misunderstood creatures, and I find things like spiders to be cute. So if we compare them with those, bats could very well win a beauty contest in comparison. Now we have a few questions from Super Hulk. Who is your favorite YouTuber right now? My favorite YouTuber? Right now maybe Joel, Smallish Beans. Either him or Mumbo. But the reason is similar for either. Mumbo's production value is really high, especially since Hermitcraft Season 10 came out. As an editor, I find his videos, shorts, and most of the content that he produces to be really enjoyable to watch. And the content is obviously still really good. It's not just his editing skills. On a similar line, Joel excels at making his videos be absurdly entertaining to watch. I couldn't care about what he is building that week in particular, but I know I'm still going to be entertained through every second of it. Next question. What kind of videos, if any, do you find yourself watching the most? I mainly watch a few Hermitcraft members and Lizzie as Minecraft goes. And the rest of the time I enjoy watching some StarCraft 2 content. Mainly watching Hearthstone and Winter. I find them both really funny, and I especially love it when they cast tournaments. The last question from Hulk is, which is my favorite band/artist? I'm not sure I would call him my favorite artist, but if I had to choose only one, it would have to be Alec Benjamin. Which I guess it's a bit silly for a goth to like a sobbing and romantic pop artist. But I just find the lyrics of his songs to be second to none. He has a way to write an entire story that is entertaining to listen to in its own right. But said story is an entire metaphor for something entirely different. To give an example of what I mean by that, he has this song called Paper Crown. It's about a queen that made a castle made of paper and how it crumbles at the end and falls into the sea. During the video, you can see some sort of prince or someone that tries to help the queen. But that's what this song tries to say. It tries to explain that the girl based her world and her relations on her insecurities, and how no one will be able to help her because of it. When the foundation of a relation are insecurities, said relation is destined to crumble, eventually. It's not super deep in meaning or super complex to understand, but I find his lyrics enjoyable to listen to. It keeps my brain active in a way. Alrighty, now we have B's knees with a few quick questions. It says, will you marry me? Well, if you take me out on a date first. Who knows? Maybe? Then he asks, why not? Well, because you haven't taken me out on a date yet, obviously. And the last question. How come when I make a create machine it's ugly and barely works? Sad face. I think that's because Create has a particular vendetta against you and doesn't want you to make good-looking machines. That has to be it, for sure. Now we have Damn who asks, who's a good bat? It's me. I'm a good bat. I'm the bestest of bats. The next question is, if you had unlimited resources, what's the ultimate redstone/create gadget you'd build to rule the cave? If that question means mod-wise. Or, well, data packs or anything that changes the game. I would honestly change the entire ocean and fishing mechanics. No more fishing with swords, no more treasures from randomly fishing on a corner. If you are fishing with a rod, you should have a way to get the fish alive. And have ways to catch certain fishes, so you don't have to swim around with a bucket if you want a certain tropical fish or something. It would also have a fishing net, so you can get food more reliably than one at a time with the fishing rod. And ways to make farms with said fishing net. Maybe integrated to Create so there is a way to drag the net or do something with it to catch fishes. To balance things out, aquaculture already goes somewhat in the right direction. You want to catch a big chunky fish? Maybe you need a more durable rod with a special bait for it. On the other hand, if you're making use of the net or you build a farm with it, well, Then you are going to get bigger quantities, but of smaller common fishes. All we would need to do then is make entire raw fish inedible or poisonous and instead just make fish slices like in aquaculture. The idea is to leave the fishing rod as a way to get specific fish, more towards having to craft the specific rod and bait to get the fish you want, having to travel to a certain biome and all of that. Well, if you just want a bunch of food, then you have more uninteresting smaller fish to simply process into food and not care about. And if you want to automate it, then you still can, but you simply aren't going to get more than the basic smaller fish. On top of that, raw fish should still be able to be used on composters or another way of fermenting. In my head, it makes no sense that we can't, and it would still depend on the size of the fish. Maybe if you catch a massive fish, that will give you a bunch of bone meal or something. If you use a net and catch smaller ones, well, then you are barely going to produce any bone meal. Is any of that going to make people more interested in fishing? Not really, no, but for those already interested in it, I think it will make things a lot more enjoyable. For me anyway. Could any of that be overpowered? I mean, we can already make overpowered versions of most farms and mechanics in Minecraft, so if there is a will, there is a way. The last question from Dam. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? I will be honest with you. I don't even know what an unlathingy is, but I'm going to guess 20 kilometers per hour. For those from the land of freedom that use miles per hour. Then whatever speed I said, but in miles. I honestly have no clue. Alrighty, that leaves us with some questions from White Rose Demon, who asks, if you could live as any fantasy race, what would it be and why? I guess a witch fairy, if that's even a thing. A witch because I find them really cool. Maybe not a full-on Harry Potter kind of magic witch, but something more like a witch that can feel the energy of things. Maybe I want to grow some flowers or something, and I can channel or use the energy of other things to do so. That kind of stuff. Of course, making potions, understanding nature, doing voodoo stuff. All of that sounds super cool. I guess what I mean is more to understand and be able to harness nature, but without having power by myself, if that makes sense. Not using a wand and spitting balls of fire or something. The fairy part goes on a similar line. I like stories of fairies that have an influence with nature, that can interact with nature, but not necessarily that they have power by themselves. Something I also like about fairies is that in most stories, it doesn't matter if they are cute or scary fairies, they are kinda like bees. Sure, a bee can be important for the ecosystem, but you don't really walk around thinking about bees all that often. For the most part, they are just that tiny thing that happens to exist, mostly unnoticed. I like the idea of being that small side character, that even if I'm important, I'm just there on the side, very far away from the focus of attention, just minding my own business. I think that would be my fantasy race. Hopefully it made somewhat sense. Next question says, if you could build anything, what would it be and why? If that means building something in Minecraft, I always had this idea of making an adventure world. Like, properly detailed and filled with not necessarily dungeons, but things to explore and stuff to do. Mod packs, as cool as they are, have two problems in my opinion. One is that if you want explorative adventure, you rarely get non-deadly adventure. And those worlds are randomly generated. That means that you could take one step in the world and face the hardest dungeon, and the next one be the easiest and smallest one. It's hard to make it well-balanced and progressively reasonable. I would like to build a world that doesn't necessarily need mods, but where you can have a relaxed and cozy experience. Maybe you start in some safe plains near a town where you can gather your first resources. Maybe you decide to go to said town or simply explore a bit of the plains. At the town, maybe there are quests you can do. Stuff like bringing them certain resources, and in exchange, they tell you where a mine is located or how to grow certain crops. Things like that can let you immerse yourself in the world. Then the difficulty would be based on location. If you keep going deeper and deeper into the forest, maybe spiders start to spawn, or maybe you eventually find a forest camp filled with witches that will try to kill you. If you go into the mines, you might stay on the explored sections and get some easy resources. But if you are feeling adventurous, maybe you can go deeper into the unknown tunnels and eventually face dangers. I like the idea of a well-thought adventure with a very polished progression through it. And more importantly, that you can see where you are headed and have the power to decide. You won't instantly face danger, you will see it coming, and you have the power to decide if you want to venture into it or stay in a safe and cozy experience. A bit of a long explanation, but this idea is something I have given it a good thought for some time now. Alright, next question says, if you had to build a kingdom or something similar, what would be the theme? Well, I still have the idea of building an underwater queendom, so maybe at some point I will end up doing that. But other than that specific idea, the themes always change over time. Whatever I found interesting at the time, or whatever idea happened to show up in my head. And that leaves us with the last question from Rose. If you had to play any other mods beside Create, what would they be and why? Well, to be honest, if I wasn't using Create, there is a good chance I would be playing Vanilla instead. I don't dislike the Vanilla experience. The reason I enjoy Create is because it's fun to make farms and things like that, and it's a lot more accessible than Vanilla in many ways. If we leave the farms or technical things aside, I'm actually quite happy to just be in a vanilla world, doing my own builds and stuff. What I enjoy about Minecraft is to be able to create things. That doesn't need more tools or extra content. Talon Black has a couple more questions. The first one says, how long have you been playing Minecraft? I'm not sure about the date, but 1.16 was already out, though it didn't have many mods at the time. I tried the game many years before that, but that's when I really got into it. I basically started playing 1.12 adventure mod packs like RLCraft or RAD with my boyfriend at the time. He got me into trying Minecraft properly, since I barely touched it for more than half an hour at a time before that. The second question kind of follows up on this one. How long have you been playing modded with Create, and what got you into playing Minecraft Create? I think it's been a couple of years since I started playing Create. Essentially, I was playing on a vanilla server. I believe it was set to 1.18 or maybe it was 1.19 actually. Regardless, I got a bit bored because the server wasn't too active during my time zone, so when I saw some videos about Create, I thought it was the coolest mod, so I just went to try it out on single-player world. That's also the point when I came back to YouTube. Or rather, I made a few random videos about Minecraft, but it wasn't until I started playing with Create that I went more seriously about it. The last bunch of the pre-written questions comes from Jay. And the first question says, how has your playstyle evolved from when you first started playing Minecraft to today? That's an interesting question. I guess at the very beginning when I was mostly playing adventure packs, the playstyle was as bland as you can imagine. You go to a dungeon, clear the dungeon, organize your gear in a hole, and go look for the next dungeon. That playstyle is fine for a bit, but it gets repetitive over time. So eventually, I just started to build random stuff to pass the time. I find that creating a story is a lot more interesting. You don't really need to make lore out of it or write a novel. By the way you build it, the things you add or don't add, the terraforming or lack of. All of that adds to the story. All of those simple details will tell the story of how the build came to be. That's the direction that I have been going since then, but for the past year or two, I have also added a lot of technical stuff too. I love me some resource management, and making farms and technical machines, it's always a fun puzzle to solve. If I had to guess what waits for me in the future, I think I might try to bring back some of that storytelling a bit more, while hopefully not reducing the technical side of it. The next question says, what, if any, mod would you like to see today that doesn't exist? I would definitely love to see the fishing mod we talked about before, and the hardcore mod that you and I are working on. If you all don't know, Jay and I have been working on this hardcore more for the server, where you can opt to play hardcore if you want, while everyone else remains in the normal game mode. And instead of straight up dying, there are ways to pay with game resources to continue playing, and ways for others in the server to revive you. It's something I'm quite excited about, especially the part where the mod it's completely optional to engage with or not. Also, by Jay and I mean it's Jay really who is making the mod. I'm just there with some pom-poms cheering them up. Next question. Do you play other mods that aren't on the Batsy SMP? I don't actually even play outside the server. But as mod goes, I somewhat think I have everything I want on the server already. I'm not sure there are more mods I want that I didn't include. Next question. What is your favorite aspect of Minecraft? Creating things, for sure. You can play a mod pack and have a story being told to you, but at the end of the day, when you play, you create something. It could be the story of how you defeated a dungeon or a random house you made, but it's a new creation nonetheless. On a similar line for me, the next question asks, what brought you to decide to make YouTube videos? I think I explained in the past how I simply love video editing and how back in the day, there was a boom of montages that used to be overly edited. Like, sure, there was some good gameplay on them, but it was massively edited, and they used to make them really epic to watch. I always loved those. But Minecraft is very, very different from that content. So to bring it back to the question, what got me into making videos then? My thought was that I love the idea of telling a story through a Minecraft series, but why not overly edit it too? I have dipped my toes on that idea a few times, for example the segments about Jones. I experimented a bit with making the time-lapse and the showcase be part of the music and the cinematic. Sadly, I found out that the main issue is honestly the technical difficulties. The replay mod works great when there aren't other mods around, or texture packs, shaders, and all of that going on. So, oftentimes, I basically need to remove more cinematic ideas because something broke, and instead, replace them for more normal content. That's more or less what brought me into making videos. I like the editing part a lot, and I would love to use that to make more cinematic Minecraft instead. The last question from Jay, and the last pre-written question says, is making videos for YouTube everything you expected? In a way, yes. I knew editing software quite well back in the day, so getting into it again years later, I more or less knew what I was getting into. But that's only the video making part. I guess the community aspect did surprise me a few times. The negative comments, for example. I assumed people was going to call me things or just insult me and stuff. That was my idea of what a negative comment was going to be. Something like, wow, your video sucks, get good. That's what I thought in my head. But oftentimes, the negative comments are just the most random stuff. Sometimes there is a random person that complains because I used the word humans in the video, or maybe that I had a random grammatical error at some point. Those are the more mild examples that baffle me more than bother me. I find it impressive that someone's day was ruined because I used the word humans. Then there are others that just want to pick up a fight. There was this person that complained because I made a video for a survival-friendly workstation and said schematic couldn't be made within the first 5 minutes of starting a new world. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but that was the gist of it, that it wasn't an early game build, which the video never claimed to be. But the person still managed to cause quite a fuss about it. I get a lot of comments like that, and I see other content creators sharing similar stories. It's like, how are you going to reply to a comment that is already so disconnected from the video? Oh dude, I'm sorry that my farm didn't match the random expectations you invented before you watched the video. That obviously is a small portion of the comments anyway, just meant to say it's something I didn't see coming. I thought negative comments would be more straightforward, and not just random stuff like that. Something else I didn't see coming was how the community behaves and the support itself. I assumed I was going to get spammed often and that people would want to constantly interact and whatnot. In reality, every once in a while there are a couple people that spam me more than the previous 1,000, and that's not even exaggerated numbers. I think so far I had maybe 7 or 8 that really spammed me everywhere. In the comments, the Discord server, my DMs. Everyone else is just minding their own business for the most part, which makes a lot more sense in my head. I guess I created a random expectation from hearing bigger content creators that instead of 8 people a year, will likely get 8 of those a day. So that somewhat surprised me, but obviously not in a bad way. And I guess the amount of support too. For some reason, I assumed more people would support less. By that I mean that maybe from 1,000 people, I thought I would get a little bit of support from 100 of them. Maybe with comments, with likes, and random stuff like that. But in reality, from 1,000 people, maybe 5 actually give support, but it's more support than what I thought those 100 would give, if that makes sense. Which is something weird to me to this day. I assumed a random comment or a like was the level of support I was gonna get, and it would be more frequent than it is. Instead, I get people like, oh, you have a dream mod? Let me just code it for you. Oh, you have struggles with the server? Let me spend a weekend dealing with databases. It's crazy to me, but of course a pleasant surprise, that's for sure. And obviously the monetary support has been insane, there is no denying that. I wish to be in a better place than I am, but I'm still somewhere that I thought would take me many more years to get to, so I couldn't be happier in that regard. Anyway, let's not start crying now. Those were the pre-written questions. Let's see if anyone had any new ones to add to the list. That was quite the long list of stuff. And by the way, yes, it took me that long to figure out the bridge. Turns out you have to add a path next to it to add the stairs. My favorite food is probably octopus. I love me some yummy octopus, with salt and some red pepper. If you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? I think rice. That's probably the most versatile food. If you could put anyone from the SMP into a box with a warden, who would it be and why? I will put every one of you there with the warden for cuddles. If you could make any update version for the game, what would it be? Does that mean what would I update into the game? Honestly, I think vanilla Minecraft could benefit from the optional hardcore mode. I hate the idea of forced or exclusive gameplay on multiplayer servers. But Hulk, hardcore mode is for everyone. You can't decide if you don't want to play hardcore unless you don't play on the server. Happy asks, if you could live in a video game world, which one would you choose? The least deadly one. Sunhaven maybe. I'm this close to romance me some good-looking guy. Maybe that's an idea for the next stream. Background gameplay of me romancing the guy from Sunhaven. Correct, 𝐋𝐤𝐬, you can craft a token to get revived. That's why I think hardcore is bad. There should be a penalty for dying, not a world loss. I think someone being able to revive you, or you being able to pay a price to get revived sounds more interesting. Hey Tomat, good to see you, and thanks. Soon we are going to swap to Minecraft, see if we can figure out how to make a warp farm. I have some ideas for some of the corners, but I have the feeling it's going to be a massive farm. And this time, I'm going to make separate Tom circuits. Last time was a mess with the priorities. No, we are making a warped tree farm to make bone meal. We should definitely go to the end soon. I need more pearls. I keep having to go to the Nether to hunt for them. Happy, this time I'm giving you 4 sets of armor and knee pads. Alright, do you all want to swap to Minecraft then? I will take that as a yes, please, Batsy, oh Batsy, or Bat Overlord. Let me know if the music is too loud. At the end, I decided to make it on one side only. It makes more sense than having both sides of fans. And logistics is easier. My current step is to add a storage for the fungus and a different one for the rest. And add the thresholds on them. My idea is to have 2 chutes. One for the deployers that plant the trees, another to burn the excess on the composters. but I'm kinda struggling to set the threshold. Right now, it only affects one, as it should. But then the Tom's connector affects both. And that obviously affects both. I kind of don't want to end up using links. But I don't want to add tons of unnecessary redstone either. Thought so. Well, it's not pretty. So in theory, it should always dump fungus into the deployers and stock the rest. And eventually burn some into the composters. We actually need the second vault first, I think. That doesn't look too bad. I think that looks fine. We can connect the rest of the farm to that central block. Now the issue are the tree blocks. I mean, that's literally it, no? Can someone check how wide warp trees are? I believe it should be a 5 by 5. How many you all think? I'm thinking on adding 10. "42 might be too much, but also that movie is great." Is this overkill? That doesn't look too bad. 𝐋𝐢𝐬𝐬, this makes a lot more noise than my fishing farm, trust. Hey Bioman, thanks. Who wants to add some massive noise to this thing? Hey Chaos, good to see you here. It's a bit big to go without redstone links, don't you think? That's a solid idea, though might have been unintended. I think that works. The redstone got glued to the cart. Hey Tomat, and no, I don't usually research much. I just spend some time on creative until something works out. All right, we have a way to recover the grass. Probably. The link doesn't transfer. Good one, CSP. But it's too slow. I mean, it looks proper. It should work. Just need to time the mechanical saw. The lower warped block is in case we lose the top one. Sometimes it reverts to netherrack. So you bone meal it to bring it back. It starts to sound like a song. The bone meal circuit maybe should be different than the fungus. You guys still hear the lofi? Rose is rich. This almost feels ready. Welcome back, Beist. Hey Togashi, and thanks. Huh. Well, that fixed it. Oh dear. It's almost using them all. It's starting to go really fast. I love how sometimes there is just one supermassive tree. Well, it seems to be working. Maybe we should time it now. We have 2.420. All right, let's time the 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬 one. It does take a while though. Okay, now I have a stopwatch. That made another 2040 or something. I think it might take a couple of minutes. Any bets? Almost there. All right, that was 1 minute 59 seconds. I'm so good at this. So 2 minutes to make 2,000. How much is that per hour? $60,000, right? Yes, Chaos, you lost your life. Now it's mine. What you mean more than necessary? What if you want to grow some watermelons? Or you want lettuce? I need the bone meal. Because I have an addiction to make a bone meal farm per season. That's about it. Maybe I just start building with bone blocks. Or a lot of white terracotta. Yes, XT. Eventually, we want to make fertilizer. The fungus doesn't seem to hold, though. It sustains a bit more than half. These roots aren't an issue. The problem are the red fungus. So in short, we need to expand the fungus. And figure out a way to remove red fungus. I think I will leave it here for now. I will reduce the size off camera and figure out the final touches. Hey 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬, good to see you. Next week, I might make a new episode about this farm, or I might just build stuff on the overworld. I haven't done that in forever. For now, I will go eat dinner and feed the cat. He is already screaming. I haven't touched him for more than 2 hours. I hope everyone had fun with the stream and hope to see you all around for the next video. Until then, have a good one, you all. Thanks for hanging around. It was a nice birthday. Love you all.